Alright, hey there guys, welcome back to the Card Smiths. Another lengthy hiatus, but hey, we put out videos when we can. So I'm actually special circumstances today that I'm very excited about. I just received a package in the mail from FryxGames, and we'll talk a little bit more about that in a second. But FryxGames, they're the publisher of really a handful of games, but of course the most notable one being Terraforming Mars. And Terraforming Mars is one of my absolute favorite games of all time. I love it. It's strategic. There's tactical decisions to make as well. You have to adapt based on what other people are doing. There's always these interesting decision points every turn. The card drafting system is amazing. I think this game is much better using the draft format than just getting the cards. There's a lot more depth to it in the draft format. So I'm very excited about this because I have just gotten a package in the mail from FryxGames. I'll show that off in a second, and we're gonna open it up. We're gonna see what's inside, and yeah, without further ado, let's not fritter around. Let's get to this. To show the package here, it's long, it's rectangular. I've ripped my personal information off, and yeah, let's crack this open. All right, so unfortunately, I don't know where our tripod is, but I have cut this open, and I will try to... This isn't going to work. I will cut back to when it's open, and I will lay the contents out. Okay, we are back. Let's see what's in here. So, first up, we have the 3D tiles for the Amazonas Planitia. It's extra 3D tiles, like the ones that I got in my big box. They make a huge difference aesthetically to the experience of playing this game. And beyond aesthetically, just the feeling they create of terraforming Mars. It, you know, of course, it's an extra investment in the game. But if it's a game that you really like and play a lot and, you know, you have the means to upgrade to that, it's something that I do think makes a big difference. Here are the domes. So this is a box of plastic domes for the city tiles, or the city tokens, I guess, figures, that you can put the domes on while the oxygen level's lower, and then they truly are dome cities. So just another little aesthetic upgrade there. Here we have the rover. So yeah, not the most necessary thing in the world. You can just use the standard first player token, which is a cardboard cutout of Mars with a 1 on it. But I was already putting this order in from FryxGames. This was pretty cheap. I was like, you know what? I absolutely love this game. Let's get the frickin' rover. This is actually what I am most excited about here. And it is the Amazonas Planitia map. And it is a bigger map for a longer game with more global parameters to satisfy. Or I think it's the same global parameters, but there are higher levels to obtain of each of them, I believe. Now, here are a bunch of promo packs, all the promo packs of cards for the game, which I'm really excited about because something else that I adore about this game is the project deck, that I believe it's... I don't know the exact amount, 180, 200 cards, even in just the base game. So there's a large amount of variance, diversity of different cards, the different cards you draw each game, the order they come up, what you get. It's always making for fascinating different decisions. And it's rich. It's richly thematic. The theme in this game is really brought to life. You feel like you're terraforming the red planet. The Jacob Frixelius, the designer of the game, has a PhD in chemistry. I read actually in the rulebook while I was really reading the rulebook in more depth, going back through it. And, you know, that really shows in the game. It's very well researched and very heavy thematically. So I'm excited to get more project cards and just add a little bit more of that richness and diversity to the project deck. What's the last thing we got here? The trade fleets for the colonies expansion. So yeah, some trade ships that are beyond just the little white tiles. They're actual little ship models. So just another little aesthetic upgrade that I think will be fun. Wow, the Amazonas map. This huge, extra large neoprene map. God, I just love the feeling of play mats. it would be so satisfying to play on. And wow, this is quite the map. There's a lot going on here. And yeah, the global requirements, they definitely have been modified. Because here we can see you need 11 oceans as opposed to 9. You need to get to plus 14 as opposed to, I believe it's plus 6 or 8 on the base map and really all the other ones. And this is a heavy, heavy experience here, as you can see, because the global parameters to reach are higher, oxygen as well. But it's also designed so that you can use it with all the expansions. So, as you can see, there are trade fleets and spaces here for the colonies expansion. Up here we have the Venus track for Venus Next. We have the Terraforming Delegation Conference boardroom, area for the, I'm blanking on what it's called, Turmoil, for the Turmoil expansion. And then we have the global events deck here, spaces for that for the Turmoil expansion as well, the political one. And yeah, we can see the awards here, the milestones, and the map is just larger as well. I forget how many hexes exactly the map normally is across, but I did count and this one was more. We can see that the map is adapted for all these expansions as well. There are spots that pertain to delegates from Turmoil. There's energy to be obtained on the map. There's, 3 plants there. That's, of course, a lot. 2 plants and a steel. And yeah, the tracks have been modified as well. There's still the heat production benefits. Now there's a plant production benefit. That's interesting. Here, there's the temperature benefit, which is in a different spot, and a card one. And I believe the colonies one has been added to the Venus track there, which actually definitely has been because that expansion came out but prior to the other one. And here we see all the standard projects, but this is with all the expansions in mind, designed to facilitate use of all of them. So cell patents, power plant, asteroid, there's air scrapping from Venus, build colony from colonies, aquifer, greenery, city, this for the solo game, delegates, trade vehicles, party policies. This is a behemoth. So, I haven't actually played with a lot of these expansions. I did just order them all because I really wanted to not only flush out, but complete my collection. So this is something that I'm not going to jump into right away, but I would love to play this. Terraforming Mars, I like the game so much, and it can be a long game, but oftentimes you're like, God, I wish I could just keep playing when it ends. And to have higher global parameters to fulfill and create a bit of a longer, more epic experience, I think is really something that's very enticing to me, and I'm very excited to try out. All right, let's not get crazy, but let's look at some of these promo cards that I got. We'll quickly fan through them. Public Baths, that's interesting. You pay 6, plus the additional 3 to have bought the card, unless you just happen to draw it, so 9, to get 6 back and a victory point. And it can be built using steel. So that is a pretty good card. Now let's see what we got here. Small asteroid. Okay, I like this. Space event. Increase temperature 1 step. Remove 2 plants. Yeah, it's a cool card. Self-replicating robots. Action. Reveal and place a space or building card here from hand and place 2 resources on it, or double the resources on a card here. So yeah, an economy card, which just is gonna help play cards. The earlier you get this out in the game, the better, but it does have 2 science tag requirements. Snow algae requires 2 oceans, plant production, and heat. Penguins, this is cool. Requires 8 oceans. Everybody loves penguins, and penguins love the new oceans and glaciers on Mars. I am sure they do. Look at that. That's a cool card. Okay, here we go. My favorite thing, new corporations. I think the corporations add such an interesting both thematic and flavorful element to the game, and also just really a diversity of different approaches that can be taken. And I think that choice of picking your starting corporation in conjunction with the starting 10 cards that you're given to choose from, I think is just something so incredible. Okay, what do we got here? Arcadian communities. Action. Place a community player marker on a non-reserved area adjacent to one of your tiles or marked areas. Oh. That's interesting. So it's like the land claim card from the base game, that you can really stake your claim to certain spots on the map. You also start with 10 steel and 40 mega credits, which is pretty good. You know, if you get some cards to spend your steel on in your starting hand, that's actually worth 20 credits, so it's like 60. Yeah. I like it. Recyclon. You start with 38 mega credits and 1 steel production. Okay, steel production. And a building and a microbe tag. Oh, I love this, because honestly, something I was really hoping for was more corporations that enhance the microbe strategy, because that's one that I feel needs a little help, at least out of the base game. And having corporations centered around playing with those mechanics, I think is interesting. Let's see what we got here. Effect. When you play a building tag, including this, gain 1 microbe to this card, or remove 2 microbes here to raise your plant production 1 step. Oh, wow. Okay. This is solid, because you start with steel production. It's going to be easier for you to play buildings, and then you can use your microbes on here to raise your plant production. There's also microbe cards that let you put microbes on other cards. There's some of the events, like the large convoy and shipment from Europa, stuff like, maybe not shipment from Europa, but there are events that also put microbes on cards. So I think there's a lot of synergy to be had here, and raising plant production is quite powerful. That's cool. Splice. Ooh, I love it. Another microbe one. The microbes are getting some love here. You start with 44 mega credits. As your first action, reveal cards until you have revealed a microbe tag. Take that card into hand and discard the rest. Oh, you don't even have to pay for it. You just get it. Okay, this is cool. Holding the patents on a number of key gene lines, Splice is the natural partner for any project involving adapted microorganisms. So the effect, each time a microbe tag is played, including this, that player gains 2 mega credits. Oh. Wow. So this would apply to other people at the table, because that player gains 2 mega credits or adds a microbe to that card, and you gain 2 mega credits. So if you're the one to play the microbe, you're going to get 4 mega credits or add a microbe to that card. The thing is that I like about this a lot is, unless someone is leaning into the microbe strategy, they're not really going to be incentivized to just play a random microbe card here or there to get the benefits from that. Whereas you, if you're, expressly leaning into this, there's a lot of benefits to be had here. And I like that you get to search and take one to get things going off the bat. You also have a microbe tag on this card. Oh, I love this. I really am excited to play. To play this corp. Okay, 16 Psyche. Space card. Increase titanium production 2 steps. Gain 3 titanium, 2 VPs. Good card. Robot pollinators. What on earth do we have going on here? Requires 4% oxygen. Increase your plant production 1 step. Gain 1 plant for every plant tag you have. It reminds me actually of worms a little bit. Icy impactors. Spend 10 mega credits. Titanium may be used to add 2 asteroids here, or spend 1 asteroid here to place an ocean tile. First player chooses where you must place it. Trying to actions. Oh, I see. I see. So the person who's currently the first player actually chooses where you have to put that ocean. I don't know why it took me so long to get that. Directed heat usage. Spend 3 heat to either gain 4 mega credits or 2 plants. Pretty good, because sometimes at the end of the game you have a lot of excess heat that you don't really need, and turning that into plants could be pretty enticing. Supercapacitors. Effect. Converting energy to heat during production is optional for each energy resource. Ah! Okay. I just think this is interesting. Because that's something that, you just become so accustomed to doing. And I think a card, thematically, molecular conducting layers separated by molecular insulation storing large amounts of energy. The ability to preserve that as energy could not only be quite useful if you have certain cards that require spending energy to do things like ironwork, stuff like that, but just the very fact that this card exists and was created, I think, is clever and interesting. All right, so we won't go through all the cards. Let me know in the comments if you want me to show off some more of the promo cards from the promo packs that I got. But I didn't want this video to run too long, which I have a tendency to do. So I just wanted to jump to the rest of what was in this shipment, show it off to you, and then wrap things up. So check out these trade ships to be used in conjunction with the Colonies expansion. There are 8 unique trade ships. So very cool. They all have their own different distinct designs. You can see the spot where you put your player cube in. And then we have the big chairman desk for the Turmoil expansion. So that's very cool. You got a spot to put a delegate in there. The Mars rover. Check it out. Look at it. It's very detailed. Even got the rough Martian sort of ground on the underside of it. Underneath the wheels as well. And yeah, not necessary, but gonna add a little more flair to that first player token. I like it. These are just the basic tiles that came with the Amazonas map, which, yeah, just in case someone didn't want to use the 3D printed stuff, they have enough extra tiles to use instead as well. Me personally probably won't touch these because check this out. It came with more cities as well, and the requisite tiles needed for extra greeneries and 2 more oceans. As you saw on the Amazonas map, the global requirement for oceans is 11 and not 9, so there are 2 extra ones there. I also got the domes, and some of those came with the Amazonas pack of tiles as well. So here is a regular city tile. Looks cool, but, open cities, you need a certain amount of oxygen for those to be viable. What are you doing in the meantime? You have these dome cities. So the dome goes right on over top. There's still that opening there for a player to put their player cube. And wow, that looks so good. The dome city, folks. And then, once you reach the point where an open city becomes viable, I forget the exact amount of oxygen that the game says would be necessary for that. But then you could start putting city tiles without the dome on them. So in the early game, you'd be using these. Eventually, once the oxygen's high enough, you could not put the dome. And that would create a cool aesthetic to the board too, seeing what cities were placed early, which ones were placed later on at the end of the game. And it's something that I think is a huge strength of Terraforming Mars, is just the thematic story you're telling of terraforming the red planet over the course of the game. All players are contributing to this. It's another thing that I think is very well done for this game, is that even if you're not the person that wins at the end, it's a very satisfying experience as you feel that you all collectively did work towards something and you all played your own part in the terraforming of the planet. Even if you're not the winner, you know, you contributed to these global parameters in some way. And yeah, you can get some very close games. There's many different ways to score points. The TR track to get more funding, raising that early, through cards, through land game with your greeneries and cities, through milestones and awards. There's so many different pathways that this game is really always fresh and interesting to me. Am I forgetting something? I will come back to you to wrap this video up. So all in all, I'm very happy with this purchase. Terraforming Mars, like I said, one of my favorite games of all time. I think it does so many things very well. It's a satisfying experience. And really, it is a game that, almost unlike any other game, I think it creates a very satisfying experience for each of the players, regardless of who wins. And of course, you know, winning is nice and it's fun and it's what you're striving for, but always at the end of a Terraforming Mars game, you got to implement your engine, you got to contribute in some way, and you see over the course of the game the planet being terraformed, the global requirements being raised, oxygen going up, oceans coming down to create these hydraulic cycles and ecosystems, and the temperature rising as well. So it is a very thematic, very satisfying experience. You're telling the story of the terraforming through your own way. You can put your own stamp on the game with the corporation you choose, the project cards you choose to play. The card drafting system is excellent, as there are very hard choices to be made where there's a card that could be quite beneficial to you, but maybe there's another card in that hand that would be amazing for the person with the Jovian tags or whatever it is. And sometimes you got to take a card just because you can't let it fall to someone else, but sometimes you got to take the best card for yourself to give yourself the good chance to win. So the decision points are very, very... There are many, and they are interesting. But at the same time, it's not an overwhelming game. The rules overhead isn't too high. People can pick this up and be able to play it. The rules explanation isn't too overwhelming because it's quite intuitive. You have these project cards, they cost a certain amount, and you know, you're purchasing them, you're playing them, you're doing your standard projects, and the game just makes sense because it's quite intuitive in the sense everything you're doing, you're trying to put towards terraforming the planet. So very happy with these aesthetic upgrades. One more time, the colonies, trade ships, the Terraforming Committee chairman desk there, the rover, the domes, the map, the cards. This is something that I am confident will get a lot of play and a lot of good memories to be had. So thanks for sticking around till the end of the video. I appreciate it. If you haven't done so already, consider liking, subscribing. That kind of stuff helps us out on the channel. And beyond that, we'll see you guys next time. Take care.